Welcome. If you're a motorsports fan, I should be your favourite drunken Australian. Let's go ahead. It's 11th of March 2025, but I'm going to predict the 2027 Formula One grid. That's a long way ahead, isn't it? But let's do it anyway. Let's have some fun. Now, I've already got the 2026 drivers here, so if you wanted a 2026 predictions video, well, you know what? It's already there. Just have a look at the list. Well, no, that's the only one that's of any, what can I say, any debate is Yuki Tsunoda at Cadillac, really? Well, they'd be stupid not to have Yuki Tsunoda. He's in the prime of his racing career. He's got plenty of experience. He's a current driver. They'd be silly not to take him. Red Bull want to get rid of him for whatever reason. So I think Yuki Tsunoda to Cadillac makes sense for 2026. The rest is self-explanatory. We already know. And of course, I've seen some of these other more famous F1 YouTubers and they're making their 2026 predictions videos. Well, I thought I'd have to go one better. I'm not a big F1 fan. I'm more of an F2 fan, as you know. You can tell by the name. F2 fan 5000. But, yeah, I think I should do something, really push myself to show that if I have foresight or not. So, let's go ahead. Now, in 2026, according to this, we're going to have Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri at McLaren. Is that going to be their 2027 driver lineup? Well, I think McLaren are on the ascendancy. But I can see that, yes, Lando Norris will stay. I think if he wins a driver's title at McLaren, he will not leave that team. Now, before I go ahead, I've got A and B. Now, this is so far ahead, I have to give myself a chance. I'm going to do two versions here. And both versions, unfortunately, I don't see Oscar Piastri staying at McLaren. I just don't, because I think it's going to be a matter of, I'm finishing second to Lando yet again, eh? Finishing second to Lando. Yay. So I can see him wanting to move on. And then we look at Mercedes. Andrea Kimi Antonelli and George Russell. I think they'll still have both those drivers in 26. Going into 27. I think George Russell will want to leave. It'll been there a fair while. And he might think, well, I'm the experienced driver. I'm not as loved as Antonelli, and he's fast. I want to be in a team that cherishes me. I think that's what George Russell will be thinking. And then we go to Ferrari. Now, people say that this Ferrari lineup is dead set going to be Charles Leclerc 27, Hamilton maybe retires. Well, I'm going to rock the boat. I'm going to take Charles Leclerc out there. And here's my reasoning. Sometimes if it's not working out, just try something different. Okay? Now, how long has Charles Leclerc been at Ferrari? If he's there till 2026, it's how many seasons? It's five seasons since 2022. Ferrari should have... If you're not going to win the championship after all those years, when will it happen? Maybe you need to try something different, and Charles might realise that. But Antonelli's staying at Mercedes. Now, is Lewis Hamilton staying at Ferrari? Is he going to stay at Ferrari for 2027? I'm very unsure of that one. So I'll leave that for the moment, because what I think, right, Lewis Hamilton, if he wins a championship, say in 2026 or even 25, though I think McLaren have got 25 covered. You know, Lando Norris and McLaren are going to win 2025. I'm sure of that. I haven't even seen the first race yet. Hasn't happened yet. I'll put that down already. But so Lewis Hamilton's not going to win 25. So if he wins in 26, he's got that 8th title. Maybe that's a perfect time to retire. If he hasn't won the title, is he close to winning it? Does he think there's a chance in 27? Or does he think, well, why am I staying? If he's not winning races, why continue on? Maybe he looks for something else. I don't know. I think Lewis Hamilton wants to stay in this sport, but I don't know how long he's going to stay. It may not be up to him at the end of the day. I'm just going to go with the Hamilton staying for 2027 in version A. Now, in Red Bull's case, Max Verstappen, let's put it this way. Why make this video if Max Verstappen stays at Red Bull? Why? I mean, I feel like Red Bull is a team that's going to go down before they go up. Is Max keen to stay at a team that goes down before it goes up? Why is he going to leave? Where's he going to go? He's not going to go to McLaren. Mercedes? Is that the best driver lineup of all time? Or at least driver lineup of the century? Max Verstappen and Antonelli. Wow. Is he going to go to Ferrari? I don't think so. I don't think he's going to go to Mercedes, because I feel like their environment is too corporate. But let's say he leaves Red Bull. I think he will leave Red Bull. And I think Liam Lawson, he's going to be fine. I don't think he's necessarily going to set... I don't want to say he's not going to set the world on fire. I don't think he can beat Max Verstappen at Red Bull. But he's going to be good enough. And he'll be there in 2027. I don't see him moving teams. Aston Martin, Fernando Alonso. Is he going to retire at the end of 2026? Probably. He may not. If he thinks he's still driving well during 2026, if he thinks Aston Martin has more to come from that car come 2027, if he thinks the car is just going forward, he might think, you know what, I still feel great. I'm still at the top of my game. I want to stay. He's going to be 45 years old by the end of 2026. Eventually he has to retire. I think 2026 could be the year, could be his final season, but I'm sure that Lance Stroll will still be there in 2027. Some people will disagree. Coming to Alpine, I really don't know. That's a tough one, because Pierre Gasly might be tempted to leave Alpine, because, you know, they're not a... Who knows how they're going to go in 2026, okay? He signed up for a works team. He's not getting a works team. Maybe there's a lot of focus on Colapinto. Like, oh, he's our guy. And Pierre Gasly's like, what about me? But I could see he wants to move on, but I don't know where he's going to go. So I've got to put some drivers here. Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, and I'm going to put Pierre Gasly. Right, so this column here is the available drivers. I'm trying to guess who might be in the potential market come 2027. So I'll just say Pierre Gasly moves on. As for Williams, it's possible that 2026 is his last year. For Alex Albon, I don't know. But I know there's so much talent coming through. I don't see why Alex Albon would have to. I don't see why he's going to stay when you've got so much talent coming through, right? You've got, surely, the James Fowles is a bit hard to understand, but, you know, when there's talented drivers knocking on the door of F1, you've got to, surely that's tempting for a team principal. Now, coming to Haas, Esteban Ocon's probably still going to be there for 2027. I'll come to Oliver Bearman later. I think he might be on the move. Let's see what happens. As for Audi, that is tough. That's a tough one. Because we really don't know how they're going to go in 2026. They might be a top team, but I don't think so. And I'm not 100% sure with Nico Hulkenberg. Bortoletto, I see it going either of two ways for him. He could be one of those drivers that either he goes up and he's going to get a promotion, or he's going to slide out completely. Because I think that's going to be a tough environment. He's either going to sink or swim. At stake become Audi. And either if he swims very well, he will get a promotion. And I have to back him, right? Because he's an F3, F2 champion. I want to back drivers who are champions. I don't necessarily want to back drivers who are finishing 5th and 6th in the junior series, right? Let's back our champions. But I can see a world where he struggles in that Sauber Audi car, and because of the wave of talent knocking on the door all the time, wanting to get into Formula One, he can lose that seat. And he may not get picked up by another team. Racing Bulls, I've got Isaac Hadjar and Arvid Lindblad for 2026. I think that's almost certain. And then I think Lindblad might be moving on. We'll come to that a bit later. And Hadjar. Well, he'll have 2 seasons, and I don't really know what happens at the end of the 2 seasons. And Cadillac, I've got my lineup of Yuki Tsunoda and Colton Herta. I think Tsunoda is definitely going to stay. Colton Herta, he might find, wow, you know what, it's not working out. Maybe. He might decide, well, you know what, I better go back to Indycar, or, well, I don't want to say that. I don't really know how he's going to go. I don't want to write him off. I think he could potentially be very good. I really don't know. But as you see, I've got about 7 drivers here staying in their team from 2026 to 2027. So I think 2027 is a more interesting year. We're going to see a lot more change. I think drivers will be looking for the opportunity to go to the teams that have hit the ground running. By the way, I think Yuki Tsunoda's definitely staying in Cadillac for a second season. I don't think there's any argument there. If he gets the drive in the first place, I think he'll settle into that team. I think they need him. I think Graham Loden is a good team manager. I think he'll see the need for someone like Tsunoda. I'd rather Tsunoda over Bottas because Tsunoda's a current driver. He's still young. He's still got a lot to give. Bottas has sort of already coming towards the end of his career. I'd go with Tsunoda over Bottas. Now, as you can see, some very top line F1 drivers have been put here in the available drivers category. And we've got some seats open at top teams. Now, I think 2027 might be the last season for Lewis Hamilton in F1. And maybe they'll want him to bring up their new protege. Now, I'm not 100% sold on Oliver Bearman, but he's probably going to get a chance at Ferrari. Let's see how he goes. He's still young. He's still got a lot of growing to do. We have to give him a chance. So I'm going to put Oliver Bearman and Lewis Hamilton together. Look at that. He's in the centre. Okay. Right. So Bearman and Hamilton. In the first version, I've got Bearman and Hamilton at Ferrari, the protege and the master, who's in his last season. Now, so we take Bearman out of the available drivers list. I'll just move Hadge up so we don't have to scroll down anymore. Then we've got, who have we got now? McLaren, I'm sure, will still be a top team come 2027. I'm not saying that they're going to be the best team. Obviously, who have I put on the sideline here? Piastri, Russell. Well, Piastri left the team. Russell, Leclerc, Verstappen. In this, I'm going to say the driver they're going to promote is Gabriel Bortoleto. Don't forget, he already has links to McLaren. And if he does well, if he can match or even beat Nico Hülkenberg at Audi, he's really going to rise his stock and he can go back home. I don't see why that's... I think that's a very reasonable assumption. I don't see why... I mean, as I said, I've got to back Bortoleto. He's an F3 and F2 champion. He's got to be good, right? He's got to be. If he's not, of course, there's a world where he slides off the grid. But I think he's going to, like Piastri, will get frustrated being number 2, and he'll want a new environment. And coming to Piastri, it makes sense for Mercedes, right? Well, I mean, who else would you put in the car? It's a fresh new face. He's still fairly... Not Piastri. Anyway, you know who I mean. So I'm going to take him off here. I'm going to take Bortoleto away. There's other drivers. You can see who they are, who might be in chance with a seat. There's a few Indycar drivers. You've got to remember Cadillac are now part of F1. So there's a chance for Indycar drivers to move over to F1, okay? So I've got to keep the up-and-comers, I've got to keep an eye on them. Like Nolan Seigel, I'm not sure if he's going to have super license points, but he's a fast young driver. I'm sure he can, if he can build on his potential, he might have an F1 seat at Cadillac or even McLaren. But for the moment, I've gone Lando Norris and Bortoleto. I've got Piastri and Antonelli at Mercedes. I think Piastri is a better fit for Mercedes than Max Verstappen. And Red Bull promote within, right? And they like Arvid Lindblad. I mean, right, we know that. I don't know how well he's going to go in his first season of F1, but he already seems like the chosen one. Sort of, they really like him. I think they like Lawson. I think he's in with a chance. And then I'm going to go Aston Martin. And I think you know who I'm going to put there. Max Verstappen, of course. He wants to be reunited with Adrian Newey. He wants to be part of a winning combination. He might feel, and I think it might be pushed on him by his father. Jos Verstappen might be looking for something new. because if Red Bull are not, I don't think Red Bull are as strong now as they were before, and I don't know how they're going to go going forward. They're a strong team, but we've seen teams before, once Adrian Newey leaves, they slump. Right, we've seen it with McLaren. I've seen it with Williams. I think Red Bull have that coming. I'm not... to me, that's a 50-50. But to me, the deal breaker is this Adrian Newey, you know. He's there. I think they're motivated to get Max Verstappen into the Aston Martin. They have the Honda engine. I just think that's a no-brainer, actually, if I'm being honest. Coming to Alpine, I'm just going to put Paul Aaron in the car. I don't know why. I hope so. I like Paul Aaron. I wish he was on the grid in 2025 because he did an excellent job in Formula 2 last year. He made a few mistakes. The team made a few mistakes, but he's fast. He has links to... It really depends on that guy. What am I saying, that guy? Depends on... I've forgotten his name, you know. Oliver Oakes. It depends on Oliver Oakes whether he has a say. I think Oakes and Paul Aaron are pretty close. And if he has a say, well, you know what, I want Paul in the car. Gasly's leaving. I think Gasly might leave Alpine. I'm not 100% sure on that. I mean, he seems like the sort of driver that likes to get comfortable and build a team around him. But I think the dynamic of that team is changing. He might be happy there for another year or so, but then he might want to move on. Coming to Williams. Is Alex Albon going to get found out? Well, I already predicted that. And if he gets dropped by Williams, I don't see him being picked up by another team. I might be wrong. Let's just put him back in the contenders list, right? Right, so Alex Albon. But if he gets dropped by Williams, who are they going to pick up? Who is there? I mean, surely... Okay, we've got some Williams juniors like Luke Browning. This is the other thing about Alpine. Is Colapinto going to go back to Williams? If he's doing well at Alpine, will Williams try and buy him back? Or we don't really know, right? I mean, 2027, it could be Colapinto and Sainz at Williams. Look at now, I think Carlos Sainz wants to stay at Williams. He wants to build that team around himself. He wants to push forward. Who's he going to have as teammate, though? That's a tough one. Bottas, no. You know, Luke Browning's a possibility. Maybe an unsigned, a driver that does well in F2 that's unsigned, but Williams like their own drivers, a bit like Red Bull. Could Fornaroli get that seat? That'd be good. I mean, this is also a bit of a risk, me saying that, you know, Alex Albon won't be there. I know that James Vowles is kind of in love with Alex Albon a little bit, but I still think somewhere there's someone that's going to be a temptation, but I'm not entirely sure who it is. You know, do I think Freddie Slater will be ready for 2027? No, because I think he's going to do F3 in 26, which means he's going to do F2 in 27. That's more a 2028 thing, and who's he going to team up with? Well, leaving his name there, Williams, Mercedes engine. That's a real tough one. I'll come back to that. Haas, I've put Esteban Ocon. Man, I wouldn't be surprised to see Ocon go to Williams, you know. Come to think of it, he did a seat fitting for them in 2024. He was talking about going there. If Ocon went to Williams, I hadn't considered that. But I think he'd rather stay at Haas because they might become a Toyota Works team. But Alpine might become a Toyota Works team. We don't know. See, this is the thing that's going to happen. But Ocon won't go back to Alpine. They might be called high-tech Toyota by that time. I don't know. But I don't think he'll go back to that group of people. I think there's too much water under the bridge, or whatever the saying is. I don't know. There's some drivers there. Let's say some drivers we don't know, right? We've got to see how they go in the next year or so in F2, F3, right? So let's say Joshua Dirksen does well and the Paraguayans come up with a lot of money. One of these teams might want to take Joshua Dirksen. Let's suppose he finishes second this year in F2 and the Paraguayans come up with a lot of money. Or Drugovich. Why not Drugovich? Like, Drugovich is fast. We know he's fast, right? And someone's got to say, okay, let's pull the pin. Let's give Drugovich a chance. But Haas, there's one driver I forgot, and I think he's a good chance for the Haas. If Oliver Bearman or Esteban Ocon leave, that's Dino Beganovic. Now, I've got to come back to that. Audi, I don't know, but see, we've still got Charles Leclerc and George Russell. Now, Leclerc is a top-line driver. He's got to fall somewhere. Leclerc's got to go somewhere. And Russell's got to go somewhere. Well, I'll tell you what, if Russell gets beaten by Kimi Antonelli at Mercedes over the next 2 seasons, and Antonelli's just a teenager, right, then George Russell's stock is going to go down. But he's going to be attractive for a midfield team. Now, but what midfield team is going to attract him? Is it Williams? Is that who's going to Williams in 2027? Is it George Russell? Really? Williams? I don't know. It's sort of been there and done that, hasn't he? Who am I missing out on? I think George Russell, Ferrari, no. Bortoletto. But I think George Russell will miss out. I think he's going to lose his place at a top team unless he can dominate Antonelli. That's what he has to do. But there was a rumour he's going to Audi. I'm just going to put him there because I think he'll want to go to a works team. And maybe that's where Pierre Gasly's going as well. Yeah, why not? Why not Russell and Gasly? They want experienced drivers. If they can show enough improvement in 2026, that could be your team there. But that's left Charles Leclerc. Where's Leclerc going to go? Maybe he's going to go to Mercedes instead of Piastri. Okay, that's why I've got a B, a version A and a version B. But I'm actually going to do this. I'm actually going to put Charles Leclerc at Cadillac. Why? Does that work? How good are they going to be in their first season? But they're going to be a works team, right? You want to win. The works teams, and we don't know who's going to be a works team, right? We've got Audi is a works team. Haas or Alpine might become a Toyota works team, right? So if Haas become a Toyota works team, you have to assume that drivers like Russell or Leclerc will want to go there. If Leclerc's decided, you know what, I'm done with Ferrari, like we're not going to win a championship together, yeah, then someone is going to want to go there, but I don't know which one it is. Alpine, Paul Aaron, maybe he's not. Well, I tell you what. There's Charles Leclerc at Cadillac. If that happens, I think it could happen because There's Ferrari links. I know I said he wants to get out of Ferrari, but Ferrari links are there. And the other thing about Charles Leclerc is that Cadillac are going to become that manufacturer team by 2028. Do you leave Ferrari for Cadillac? I don't know. That's a bit of a strange one. But, it's if he's not winning the title in the next year or so, I was like, well, when will I win a title with Ferrari? And Ferrari were like, well, you've been here for years and years and years. When are you going to win a title for us? You got Behrman waiting in the wings, but if I'm being honest, I think Charles Leclerc I take Charles Leclerc over Behrman, but I don't know. Behrman his 2024 F2 season might just be a one-off. He might turn out to be really good. Who have we got? Hadjar. I don't know about Williams. I really don't. I think Hulkenberg might leave Audi. I think Hulkenberg is more of a Andreas Seidel man. And I think there's going to be friction between Hulkenberg and Binotto. Like, you're a Seidel man. I'm Binotto. I'm calling the shots around here. I think maybe he'll last 2 seasons. And then he might leave or they might fire him. I don't know. But if I've put him in the McLaren, and obviously, Bortoletto is obviously beaten Hulkenberg, so it's Hulkenberg's, going to be over 40 by that time. I think his reputation will take a dive. I don't want that to happen. I like Hulkenberg. I see the friction between him and Binotto. I just see that happening. Who else have we got? Joe Guan Yu. I said Tsunoda would stay at Cadillac, but you know what? If they got Charles Leclerc, he might end up as a reserve driver somewhere. Or he might impress enough to go to another team. Season at Cadillac, does well enough. Does he go to Williams? Does he go to Haas? Haas is Toyota affiliated. No. Williams, maybe. That's a tough one. Williams is a tough one. If I think they get rid of Alex Albon, I don't see him going back to the sport, actually. If he leaves, I don't see they're going to replace him with either. Who's the young driver that impressed? Well, we don't know, right? We haven't seen the 2025, 26 F2, F3 season. We don't know. But somewhere in the Cadillac, I think, is going to be another driver other than Colton Herta in 27 or 28. A young gun. I don't think Sebastian Weldon will be ready. Now, what are we going to see? Uga Chukwu is there. I mentioned Nolan Seigel. I just wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he, got a chance at Cadillac, or Jak Crawford, obviously. I've written him down, yeah. Alex Palou, they might say, look, man, if Alex Palou wins the 2025 IndyCar season, and then if he wins it again 26 or is runner-up, someone's got to say, look, okay, this guy had a problem with McLaren. Okay, but this guy's fast. This guy's really good. Let's give him a chance. Someone's got to... surely someone's going to say, this guy's really good. I mean, who else have we got there? Kamara, Fauna. I don't know. If Fornaroli wins F2 this year or Martins wins, who knows? Fornaroli's a very underrated driver. Gabriele Mini, I don't know. Drugovich, Martins. I mean, Drugovich probably highly unlikely, but I think when he sits in the car, he's fast. Joe Guan Yu is still there. It's a tough one. But let's go for an easier one, right? Racing Bulls, I think, are going to pull something that people don't expect. People think, it's going to stay the same. I think there's a driver coming that no one expects, and that's Tim Tremnitz. I think Tim Tremnitz, provided he does well enough in 2026 in F2, they'll open a seat up for him. Now, the big question is, who will his teammate be? I shouldn't put it there, I should put it there. So, Tim Tremnitz. Who's going to be next to Tim Tremnitz? I've got, there's one driver I didn't mention yet. He's an outside chance, and that's Pepe Marti, right? Because he's part of the Red Bull stable. Now, we've got Nikola Solov. I don't think he'll be ready by that time. I think he's going to do very well in F3 in 2025. He's probably going to move up to F2 for 26. He might need a second go. Hang on, I need some thinking juice. I'm really going to surprise people. I know Red Bull and Honda are going their separate ways, but one thing Red Bull is, they are very much a meritocracy. Now, I've just seen the first round of the Super Formula Championship, and Ayumu Iwasa, he's on it. He's stepped up a gear. He's really fast. So I think I think Helmut Marko doesn't mind to give Ayumu Iwasa a shot. I really don't, because he looks like he's going to win the title this year. He looks more consistent. I mean, remember, okay, you know how in 2024, Lando Norris is famous for bottling the start. Well, in 2024, Super Formula, Ayumu Iwasa, poor start, slow off the line, losing places into the first corner. Now, the first two races this year, 2025, he's a new man. The start, he goes boom, like a wild horse. He's absolutely fixed that. He was so quick in the testing last year. I think he set the 6th fastest time. And he's just looking like a reborn man. He is a very fast driver. I can see. Now, there's other drivers in contention for that seat, right? We've got Solov, Pepe Marti, and Oliver Goethe, right? This is Red Bull we're talking about. Red Bull don't care about who's popular in the media. They don't care about the hype train. They care about their junior drivers and what results they get. And I think there's still a small link between Ayumu Iwasa and Red Bull. If he wins the Super Formula title, Honda are gone from Red Bull next year. They're driving with Aston Martin. But I just see Ayumu Iwasa possibly going to Racing Bulls, because he looks like he's going to win that championship. As for Tim Tremnitz, he's a very careful driver. I think he's a driver that no one is looking out for, that because of the Red Bull links, I think he'll get a shot at Racing Bulls. But as I said, it may not be him. It might be Solov, it might be Goethe, it might be Marti. So that we have to wait and see. But I think, going by what Helmut Marko said, he seems to think more of Tim Tremnitz than he does of Goethe, even though I think Goethe is a little bit quicker. That's why I'm leaving all these drivers here on the table. Possibilities. Now, Haas. I've still got to see that Williams, Haas, and Cadillac, and I've just got to guess, right? Well, Haas, we know. Ferrari, now it depends, right? There are 3 Ferrari-affiliated juniors on the coming up through the ranks, right? Dino Beganovic is in front of Turka Tarpanen and Rafael Kamara. But if either of Kamara or Tarpanen wins their F3 championship in 2025, and if Dino Beganovic struggles in F2, then they'll get ahead of him. So it's very hard to say Or if Beganovic has a great season in 2025, that puts him in the box seat, becomes a test driver in Haas for a year, and gets the call up. Now, but then a Haas going to become Toyota, or is Alpine going to become Toyota? We don't know, right? So, and looking at Alpine, I'm almost tempted to just take Colapinto and put him in the Williams, because I just feel like I've put Bortoleto back at McLaren. There's going to be a homecoming. I feel like that's going to happen. Maybe not 2027, but 2028, I think so. I think Charles Leclerc to Cadillac is a bit ambitious. Still might happen. In fact, it might be George Russell to Cadillac, and Charles Leclerc might go to Audi. I don't know. Nah, Binotto's there. He doesn't like Binotto. Who else have we got? So the drivers got to look. Luke Browning. I don't know how he's going to go in F2. I really don't. He's a former GB3 champion. Williams has got to pick someone. Are they going to pick an experienced driver? Who's there? Dirksen, for sure. I don't think for sure we'll get a seat, but if you kick out Alex Albon, who you got to pick some like a statement drive. Like, oh, this guy's really good. And I don't see. I think it's more likely Colapinto, but I just got to pick someone, right? Because this time is moving on. So I'm going to put Dino Beganovic at Haas. I think it just depends what Toyota do, Cadillac. Cadillac. Andretti Cadillac. I don't know. Should I have left Yuki Tsunoda there, Colton Herta? I don't know. I think Tsunoda would be Tsunoda Leclerc, Herta Leclerc, Nolan. I keep thinking Nolan Seigel. I just think if he has a breakout year in IndyCar, McLaren's in F1, Cadillac is also there. Maybe he's going to get a sideways transfer. I feel like they want an American driver. But maybe it's not going to be an American driver. Maybe it's an American affiliated driver. Either way, you know what? If Yuki Tsunoda's no longer at Cadillac, maybe he's at Williams. That's a strange one, Yuki Tsunoda at Williams. But you know what? He's not going to go to Aston Martin. And I see where I made a mistake with this. I don't feel like this is right, but that's why I've got to be. Who am I going to put next to Charles Leclerc? I took Colton Herta out. I just put... That's a tough one, man. I think it's either Drugovich or Crawford then, if it's not. So I'm just going to go with... Jak Crawford. I don't think so, but we'll see. They might think, well, we gave Colton Herta a go. Let's see how Jak Crawford goes. They want an American driver. Now, the version B means I've got to give myself an option here, right? Now, I think Lando Norris is definitely staying at McLaren. This will be Antonelli at Ferrari. Maybe Hamilton retires at the end of 2026. I mean, I'm looking at George Russell at Audi, Leclerc at Cadillac. I'm like, nah. You know what? I think Charles Leclerc actually might end up at the Mercedes. Now, if Piastri, he's got Italian heritage, do you think they're going to take him at Ferrari? Well, I think that could happen. And that'll be with Oliver Bearman, I suppose. I think that's a solid lineup. I think Bearman, his father, is close with the guy that's the big chief over there. I'm sticking with Lindblad and Lawson at Red Bull. I think Verstappen and Lance staying at Aston Martin makes sense now. Alpine, I'm not going to put Paul Aaron twice. I'll put Gabriele Mini this time. And I don't know who's going to go next to him. That's a tough one. Because is Franco Colapinto going to go back to Williams? But anyway, I've got Carlos Sainz still at Williams. And then at Haas, so I don't know where Toyota's going to go, right? You've got Alpine and links with Alpine, links with Haas. Tough to say. I'm going to leave George Russell to Cadillac. I really think George Russell will lose his place in the current top 4 teams. I really think so. I don't see it unless he can convincingly beat Antonelli. Could Max Verstappen end up at Mercedes? I feel like they're too corporate for him. He's just, I don't want to say he's a free spirit, but he is like Bart Simpson. Oh, I do what I feel like, man. Sort of, he's not, I can imagine if he was there, Toto's like, Max, why are you awake at 2 a.m. in the morning? You must go to bed. That's not going to be it's not his, I don't see it. Yeah, I think Aston Martin, especially with Newey being there, Honda, yeah. I should make this easy on myself. Lance Stroll's staying. I think, even though it's not good for the team, I think Lance Stroll's staying there. Who knows? He might improve. He might get better. Who's going to Haas then? I think Esteban Ocon is staying. If you got Gabriele Mini, stuff it. I'm going to put Colapinto back to Williams. I think there's going to be a homecoming there. And this version being, this is the version where Lewis Hamilton retires and Gabriel Bortoleto loses his seat entirely off the F1 grid. Maybe in that case, Gabriele Mini, is it going to be Tsunoda? See, that's the thing. Would Honda break links with Tsunoda if they thought he might get a shot at a Toyota-powered team? Does that mean Haas or does that mean Alpine? You think about it, right? Because even though Toyota and Haas Toyota and Honda are like, at the end of the day, they're Japanese, right? And we've got 2 very talented Japanese drivers trying to get into Formula One. One's trying to stay in Formula One, which is Yuki Tsunoda. The other one is trying to get into Formula One, which is Ayumu Iwasa. Right, Honda have tied themselves to Aston Martin, i.e. Lawrence Stroll. And Lawrence Stroll is probably not going to accommodate the Japanese drivers at his team. So they might think, well, you know what? Look. The guys, the big wigs from Honda might go down to the big wings at Toyota and say, hey, you know what? Just take Yuki or take Ayumu, We need a Japanese driver in F1. That might happen. Of course, we don't know how Ritomo Miyata's going to go. Ritomo Miyata is... he struggled in his first season of F2, but we don't know how he's going to go in his second season. And we don't know what's going to happen between Franco Colapinto and Pierre Gasly. What if Colapinto is beating Pierre Gasly? Will Pierre Gasly lose his seat in Formula One? I don't know. I don't think so. Come 2027, guys like Ocon, Gasly, Albon, they've been there for almost 10 years. I can see them losing their seats. In fact, both versions of this, I've got Albon losing the seat entirely. I'm happy with that. Leclerc, Mercedes, Piastri at Ferrari. I'm actually happier with this version B. I was going to put Max Verstappen back to Red Bull, but I don't. I think 2027 it's Lindblad and Lawson, Lando Norris. Someone's going in that seat next to him. Who is that? Who have I got? Who have I missed? Is it George Russell? Is George Russell going to Mercedes? McLaren? I feel like McLaren are going to stay a top team no matter what happens. I feel like they're going to be near the top for the next 5 years or so. Or at least the next 3 years. Yeah, I think a homecoming at Williams is happening for Colapinto. Might happen 27, might happen 28. Audi. You know, they might take a German driver too. They might take a German driver. An up-and-comer. So we've got Goethe and we've got, and of course they might take an Austrian driver too, but we've got Goethe and we've got Tremnitz. So maybe that's going to be George Russell. Why do I see George Russell at Audi? Yeah, I heard the rumour. Is he going to go to McLaren, Audi, Cadillac? George Russell to Cadillac. That makes sense, you know. George Russell to Cadillac. It does. He wants to be at a works team. Audi's a works team, but I think Cadillac, when they get going, they're going to be strong. I don't see why not, right? Why are Cadillac going to struggle? You know, like the Michael Andretti built foundations for a great team. Racing Bulls, I'm going to swap it around now. I'm going to keep Isaac Hadjar for a third season. Who knows, he might even get a promotion to Red Bull. But I'm going to say they'll promote Lindblad instead. They might give Isaac Hadjar not a chance. And I said Tremnitz the first time. I said Awasa. I'll put Solov there, I don't know. Who knows what they'll do. In that case, I'll put George Russell and Ollie Goethe in at Audi. I wasn't expecting to do that. I've got Gabriele Mini. I just feel like somewhere there's a unfinished story for Victor Martins. Surely, like Victor Martins is really fast, eh? Like this guy is really fast. Yeah, I know it's silly Piastri, but Victor Martins is fast. Is he going to get a chance at Haas? Like, okay, he's had a bad season 2024. What if he just obliterates the F2 field in 25? And what if he goes to Super Formula or he's fast in testing? Will Alpine take him back, or is he going to go to Haas? Or, I don't know. I think eventually Cadillac have to start taking F2 drivers. This time I'm just going to go here. Yuki Tsunoda. Well, I said he was going to go to... Oh, I've got him at a Cadillac for some reason. Yeah, I mean, I think that's good for Cadillac. Who else? So we've got Alpine, we've got Haas, and we've got Cadillac. I'm quite happy with that. Gabriele Mini. And see, instead of Mini, it could be Martins. Is Djokovic going to get a chance? I think he's fast. Someone's got to say, hey, this guy's fast. Let's give him a chance. Who we got? Oh, could it be George Russell at Ferrari? I don't think so. I don't think George Russell will go. But what if Behrman struggles at Haas? Hamilton retires. Leclerc moves on. I know that's a big gamble, but seriously, someday Charles Leclerc's got to see, well, I've been at Ferrari. I'm almost 30. He'll be 30 in 2027. When does the title come? Okay, I better change teams. Let's go to Mercedes. Yeah, that makes sense, you know. Or maybe he's off to McLaren. Why'd I leave McLaren blank? Who's going there? Who's going there? Okay, think about the drivers they want. Dirksen is potentially a very marketable driver. Zhou Guanyu, you know, I like Zhou Guanyu as as a guy. You know, he's a nice guy. Alpine. Am I thinking Uga Chukwu might get that McLaren drive? I feel like no matter what happens, Alex Dunn, Bando Badoa, I feel like McLaren have got their heart set on Uga Chukwu, but is it going to happen? Maybe in 2028. I feel like 2028 Uga Chukwu is going to be the McLaren driver, but in 27 he's going to be, like 26 he's probably in F2. He might even take 2 bites at F2, I don't know. He's an F3 rookie this year. I feel like 2028 Uga Chukwu, 27 might be a bit early. Fornaroli's a good driver. Like, come on, man. Like, this guy doesn't even crash in F3. All the other drivers around him are crashing. He always finishes the race. Won the title. Like, he's got to have an opening somewhere, but not a McLaren, I don't think. So, one version I've got Beganovic at Haas. In another version, I've got Solov. See, I've given all these guys a chance. Like, maybe it's going to happen. Like, maybe Goethe to Audi if he does well. I think more like Tim Trenditz will go to Audi, actually. If they want a young German driver. I think Russell and Tremnitz, actually, I haven't put it down there. Is Gasly going to keep his seat in Formula 1? Maybe he's the missing link at It's a tough one. I mean, what if Ocon does well at Haas? Is he going to get a promotion? I think he wants to stay there somehow. Gasly, Tsunoda, Gasly, Cadillac. I like it. I don't know if Cadillac like it. Maybe they want the American driver. I've gone with Leclerc and Crawford. Now I've got Leclerc. Leclerc makes sense at Mercedes. Piastri at Ferrari. Maybe that works out. Piastri, Behrman at Ferrari. Yeah, why not? Norris. I don't know why. I don't see Alex Albon coming back. Could Jack Doohan get a second chance? Probably not. Maybe. What if Esteban puts in a good word? I don't know. Why would Esteban put in a good word for Jack Doohan? But when Esteban Ocon left Alpine, the only person he had a good word to say about was Jack Doohan. Maybe he'll say, Hash, you know what, give Jack a chance. He didn't get a fair trial at Alpine. You know, they made my car slow. They probably made his car slow too. He's really, maybe, I think unlikely. But I don't see who else I can put at Haas. So maybe, I don't know how Jack Doohan's going to go at Alpine in 25. Probably not very good, because I think they don't want him to do well, so they can quickly get Colapinto in the car. I've gone with a rookie at Alpine with Gabriele Mini. I think that's possible. Fornaroli, where's Fornaroli? Cadillac, they want an American driver, don't they? I'm going to stick my neck out here, though. Who's going to be in that McLaren seat? Okay, it's going to be one of these two. You know, Nolan Seigel might get a McLaren drive. You know, it just might. If it works out for him in IndyCar, if he's like the next Colton Herta, he might get the McLaren drive, you know, but I don't think so. But it's possible, right? Don't forget, when it happens, remember, F2 Fan 5000 said it's going to happen. Now, Miata's got to be in the conversation, right? One of these teams is going to become a Toyota team. Maybe at Haas, it's going to be Miata. So, let's... is it? Miata, Cadillac, Tsunoda. They want an American driver. Or do they just want a driver that's got appeal in the Americas? So, maybe they'll go for Dirksen or Drugovic. Yeah, why not a Brazilian in Cadillac? Why not? Yeah, see, think about it. Like, or a Mexican even, right? Maybe not Leon if he does well, but think about it. Don't they want to... It's the Americas, you know? Like, I'm not convinced of Jak Crawford. I'm not. If I'm being honest, but I'll give him a spot there in 27 in the A side, but in the B column, I think they'll. If it doesn't work out with Colton Herter, I'll predict he's going to struggle. I think eventually Drugovich can get that seat. I really think so. I think it'll be Drugovich and Tsunoda, and people might think, oh, that's a poor lineup. But, the same people say that, Tsunoda should be in the Red Bull team with instead of Lawson. So if that's the case, let him lead Cadillac, and then maybe Drugovich is a fast driver for those guys. Or maybe they're going to put in Alex Palou, right? Maybe Palou gets that seat. They're like, well, we've got an F1 team. We know what happened with you and McLaren, but you know what? You're fast, man. You've won all these championships. Let's give you a go. So it could be Palou. Haas. Got a feeling like one of these teams is going to become Toyota and it's going to be Miata. But I don't know if it's Haas or if it's Alpine. Because, Oliver Oakes, right? He owns High-Tech, and High-Tech are now High-Tech TGR. TGR means Toyota Gazoo Racing. So in that case, there could be two rookies there, but I don't see one. That could be, it might end up at Alpine, and we're talking about High-Tech Toyota, right? That's High-Tech Toyota. It's not Alpine anymore. So if it's still Alpine, it's probably Aaron and Colapinto. And why they're going for two rookies, I don't know, but they'll definitely want Miata there. They might. If it's Toyota, well, they want Minnie there. Yes, Minnie is a former High-Tech driver. He has links to Oliver Oakes. Because of that, I still haven't picked the driver for McLaren. I must be crazy. Well, if Lando Norris will be very experienced at that time, they'll be able to go for a rookie. So, I think it'll be Bortoletto, but in case it's not, I don't know, man. That's tough. If Piastri leaves McLaren because he's frustrated with being number 2, and if it's not Bortoletto, if they don't go back to Bortoletto, I haven't given Pierre. Well, I haven't put Pierre Gasly there, but if Pierre Gasly gets beaten by Colapinto, I mean, you've been here 10 years, you're getting beaten by Colapinto. If he smashes Colapinto, then you can say, well, at Williams, that's Saints and Gasly, yeah, because that'd make sense, right? Esteban Ocon. Gasly's not going to go to Haas. Esteban Ocon's there. Unless, it's like a marriage of convenience. I've put Miata at High-Tech Toyota. I think that's something that's going to happen. And I think eventually they might even bring Ayo Komatsu into Alpine, become High-Tech Toyota. So at that time, if there's no Haas, they won't. Haas like experienced drivers actually, so they might pick. You know what? I think it could be between Victor Martins, who's going to have a lot of F2 experience, or there's still Ferrari. Could be Rafael Camara actually. What could be Rafael? I want to go Pierre Gasly. I'll put Rafael Camara. I think depends where Toyota go, right? If it's otherwise, you can just scratch that and go, you know what, it'll be, I think somewhere Colapinto's going back to Williams, and if Toyota go in with High-Tech, then it's Minnie and Miata. It may not be Minnie, that might be Gasly, but you know what, if he wins F2, they don't have a choice. Can't say, oh, we're not putting you in the car. They probably think, oh, let's put this guy in the car. But somewhere, if Kamara's there, maybe people don't want Drugovich at Cadillac, right? Because you got how many Brazilians? You know, because FOM think like that. They're like, oh, how many drivers are this? I really want to put my neck out for this one. I just got this feeling like, you know, you're going to see Nolan Seigel get a chance. I don't know if he does well in IndyCar, we're going to see Nolan Seigel. Might be. Who was I going to put there? I think Chukwu is going to be 2028 McLaren. I think that's going to happen no matter what. But he has to, of course, bring the results. Who else? That's yeah, Honda, I don't think they can. I'd like to put a Wasser here in this Aston Martin seat. I think that could happen, but, you know. I think that if it's not Bortoletto, you know what? Actually, what I might do, I don't want to take George Russell to Mercedes instead of Audi. No, let him stay at Audi, man. Nolan Seigel, Pierre Gasly, Fornaroli maybe if he wins. I don't know. Just put Pierre Gasly. Pierre Gasly and Lando Norris at McLaren? Really? Just put Chukwu there. I know he's going to go there eventually. I feel like 2027 is too soon. I think they'll take a chance on one of the younger drivers. Could, you know what? Could even be Alex Dunn, you know. Really, it could be Alex Dunn, man. Who knows how he's going to do in F2 this season or next season. He might win. You know, Chukwu done eventually for McLaren. I don't see why they're going to take a driver from another team, you know, and then I think, I think that's Oliver Goethe at Audi, really. Yeah, he's quick enough sometimes. Pepe Marti, is he going to get a chance at Racing Bulls? I don't know. Solov, maybe. I still feel like Dirksen. I'm looking at Dirksen. I'm like, you know, you're very, you know, he's got a whole country behind him, sort of like Colapinto, you know, like Franco Colapinto, Argentina, they're synonymous with one another. It's like Dirksen in Paraguay, you know, he's like the king of Paraguay, you know. Maybe the Paraguayan money's going to come in. Snowden, Djokovic and Cadillac. Yeah, Snowden, you know. I could see Snowden going for that lineup. I can see Snowden going for Djokovic. I feel like that, you know, like Snowden, you know, he's the sort of guy that was at Manor, you know. He took on different sort of drivers that other teams didn't. Some of them were underrated, you know. He took on Wehrlein. He took on Ocon. Before that, he had Jules Bianchi. Yeah, I think the B column is better, but I think it's more likely going to be Bortoletto at McLaren rather than Chukwu or Alex Dunn. But I think eventually it'll be one of those two drivers alongside Lando Norris at McLaren, maybe 2028, 2029. That's a long way into the future, but I think, and eventually Lando Norris is going to retire anyway. Time for another beer, and I hope you enjoyed the video.